Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name is Amanda and in today's video we are going to be doing a sunflower set of nails predominantly using water decals. So I really hope you all enjoy watching. I have really been wanting to break out some of those late summer, early autumn colours. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing in today's video. My base colour in this set is going to be Nude Tan. And putting this base colour down kind of changed the direction of what I was going to do with this design. So we're going to start off by putting 2 coats of Nude Tan down, curing each coat for 30 seconds. Now, when I first thought about doing a sunflower set of nails, I was kind of thinking bright. And then when I added the Nude Tan down, I decided to go a different vibe with this set and wanted to do a bit more of a darker vintage sunflower set of nails. So that's what we end up going with. So I really hope you all enjoy the design. And like I said, we're going to be doing water decals, but we're also going to be doing some marbling and some stamping as well. So starting off is where we're going to start with some stamping. So I wanted to stamp down this pattern here. So I've applied my stamping polish. I'm scraping off the excess. I'm going to do a quick flick of the wrist with my stamper and pick up that image. And then I like to use a lint roller to remove any excess bits of image that I don't want to stamp down. Then we're going to line that up and press this firmly down on the nail. And my idea for this design was I kind of wanted the sort of like a garden effect to this nail, and I liked the idea of this looked a little bit like a wooden fence or trellis, so you got your sunflower going up the top of that. But before we apply our sunflower decal, I am going to seal the stamping in using my Kiki London top coat. This is the top coat that still leaves a tacky layer after curing, and I love this if I'm doing any layers that include water decals because it gives your water decal something to grab onto. So obviously where we've popped that stamping down, there's not much of a tacky layer left on the gel polish, so top coating seals in the stamping and then it's going to give us a tacky layer, which is brilliant for applying your water decals onto because it really gives them something to grab onto. Now for our water decals, I'm using the Sunflower Mix. These are also from Kiki London. I will, as always, leave all of the products I've used linked in the description box below. Now with my decals, I like to cut them out as close to the image as possible and get rid of a lot of the white that you can see on the image, because then you're going to have less of the clear backing that the image is printed onto. And today, when it comes to applying the water decals, I'm actually going to be applying them all with the traditional water decal method. So we're going to be soaking them in some water. Now, I'm also going to be using the Kiki London silicone tool. This is a must-have for making sure you get rid of any creases in your water decal, and also make sure that it is firmly stuck down onto the nail. So once we've soaked that water decal, as you can see, it peels off the backing paper nicely. And then I'm just going to take some tweezers and lay this down onto the nail. You do get a few seconds where you're able to reposition the water decal, but as the water starts drying and evaporating away, the water decal is going to be stuck down where you put it down on the nail, especially once you've come over with your silicone tool and rubbed over it. So make sure you're happy with where you've placed it before you start rubbing it with your silicone tool. So as you can see here, I'm just using one end of that silicone tool to ease out any of the creases and kind of like squidgy out any of that excess water. This is then going to make sure that it's fully stuck down into that tacky layer that we had left behind. And I'm going to add another one of these water decals on the kind of like the wooden effect part that we've got as well. Now, a lot of the time when you're applying water decals, it is recommended to apply them over a white or a lighter colour base, because then they will pop a little bit more. But where I wanted to go for this kind of vintage late summer look, I didn't want anything too bright, so I actually really loved how the water decals looked on this now over the Nude Tan. Now to finish this design off, I am going to add in a little bit of gold flake top coat as well. So this is the 24K glitter top coat. Now you can use this as a full top coat to create a glitter flake effect over a full gel polish colour, but I really like to use it for nail art as well. So I've popped a little bit on my palette and I'm just going to take my detail brush and just kind of place this down here and there, just to add a few little sparkles to the nail, as I really loved how these deep reds and yellows worked with the gold flake. So I'm just applying a little bit here and there. Where the gold flakes are embedded in the clear gel, it's just so easy to apply. It gives off a very similar effect to gold leaf, but just a lot easier to apply. And then once I've done that, I'm going to pop that in for a 30-second cure, and all that's left to do is top coat. So I'm going to be top coating all of the designs today with the no wipe rubber top coat, just because we're doing a lot of heavy nail art. You guys know that it is my absolute favorite top coat for sealing in any kind of nail art. Because it's that little bit thicker, it just smooths everything out and leaves you with a super smooth surface, but then it also encapsulates everything in beautifully as well, so you don't feel any ridges, or you're not going to have any worries of the water decals peeling up or chipping off. So that was our first design done. Onto the second one. I've already done my base of Nude Tan, and then I was looking through my Kiki polishes and I found this deep rouge which matched the colour I did on the stamping perfectly. So I had to include that in this design as well, because I wanted the design to look quite cohesive. And originally this design, when I was going to be doing some sunflower nails, I was thinking bright, and I was even thinking blue or green and sunflowers. But then on that first nail I completely changed up the vibe, so I had to get some new colours out, and I haven't used this one in ages, and it is such a beautiful shade for a late summer, early autumn set of nails. It is absolutely beautiful. So I've popped a small amount of it down on my palette and taken my stripe liner brush, and we're just going to do some stripes going across the nail. I kind of wanted these nails to have a bit of a vintage vibe to them as well, so I wanted to do some stripes and polka dots on this one. So I've taken the deep rouge, I've flash cured my first line. So I just flash cure for 10 seconds in the Kiki London Deluxe LED lamp. This is going to freeze the gel polish in place, so you're not going to smudge it when you're doing your second line. And then it also means that if you make any mistakes, so if I made a mistake here with the honeybee, I could then wipe this off without removing the deep rouge. Now, if you do flash curing, just make sure that you do a full 30-second cure at the end once you have finished. So once again, we're just taking that stripe liner brush and we're just coming in with our second line, and I've basically done these 2 brush strokes thick. So I've gone in with 1 brush stroke and then come in again alongside that with a second brush stroke, and kind of just use that as my guide for how thick I want it to be. Then I did still want to have a hint of bright to this set of nails, so I'm going to take the beautiful Sunset Glow, which is a really lovely orange. It really reminds me of sunsets, those kind of late summer, early autumn sunsets. I'm not too sure, but I do feel like we're rushing into autumn a little bit this year. I feel as though summer's been a little bit flaky and we all just can't wait to get into autumn, because already Instagram, the shops, social media, it just all seems to be full on autumn mode already. So this colour is beautiful if you are still wanting a hint of summer but you are ready to pull out the sweaters and the pumpkin spice lattes. So again, we're just going to do another stripe across the nail. I'm letting my brush do a lot of the work for me, but I am just coming in here and there and neatening it up where it needs to be. And I did only do 1 coat of all of these colours because I felt as though they looked pigmented enough. And then before we finish off the design, like I said, I wanted to add on some polka dots. So I'm going to take Classic White, which is from the new Hema Free range. And I'm really liking this white for nail art because it's super, super bright. So I'm just popping some down on my palette, and then I'm going to take my dotting tool. I like to go into the gel polish and then dot onto the palette a few times, just so I know that I've got a nice amount of gel polish on the tip of the dotting tool. And then I'm simply going to dot in between those stripes that we've popped down on the nail. And then once we've done this, I'm ready to fully cure those colors. So we're going to pop the whole nail in for a full 30 seconds because I had only been flash curing those colors. And then of course we've got to add some sunflowers on to this nail. We will be adding sunflowers onto 3 out of the 4 designs. So here I've cut out 2 further images from that same sunflower sheet, and I'm just going to pull these off, and I'm kind of going to overlap these, which can sometimes be a little bit fiddly. So I'm placing this first one down at the cuticle area. Don't worry if you have got some of that sunflower coming off the nail. I will show you guys how I remove that. And then I'm going to overlap the yellow one. Now, the reason it can be a little bit fiddly is because sometimes it will take a little while for the water to evaporate on that overlapped one. So you will be able to move the water decal around a little bit. So you need to just wait a few seconds or a few minutes before you top coat, because otherwise you may pull them off. So So here what I'm doing is I'm just working with the water decal and just pressing down and kind of like squeegeeing the water out so it evaporates a little bit quicker. And then once that water has evaporated, they won't move around no more. Then I'm just going to trim off the excess to begin with some scissors. If you was doing this on a client, it would be easier to use cuticle scissors rather than the stalk scissors. Then I'm just going to run over them again just to make sure I've eased out all of the creases down at that cuticle area. And then I'm going to take my angled nail art brush with some acetone and I'm going to run this along that remaining parts of the excess water decal. So I'm just running this along and it will just melt away the rest of that water decal so that then you're going to be able to fully top coat and seal the water decals in without any of that water decal hanging off the edge of the nail or going into the cuticles. And then that's this design finished. So once again, we're going to come in and top coat, and you'll see as well that there is no, in my opinion, I don't think I got any creases in this design from the water decals. So it was really hard to tell that they were water decals, especially once I'd come over the top with the rubber top coat, because that smooths everything out. But that is because of taking the time with the silicone tool to really go over the water decals, because this just makes them have really good contact with the nail underneath. And then when you've not got no creases because you've got them all out, you're not going to see it once you've top coated, and it just looks flawless and smooth on the nail. On to the next nail. This is one of my favorite designs to do, but it's a French with water decals over the top. I really love the look of a crisp white French and then some water decals. I decided to switch it up a little bit today, and rather than doing a classic French, I'm going to do more of a V French. So I've loaded up my striped liner brush and I'm coming straight down one side of the nail. And then I'm just lining up where the line needs to come down on the other side, and then we're just going to go straight across as well. And then you just want to check that you have got your point in the middle of the nail for your V French so that it matches up with the very tip of your nail. This is a little bit easier to do when you're working on a pointed nail because you've kind of got a guide. So I did it like this, and then I did feel as though it just looked a little bit thin, so I decided to come in with a little bit more gel polish and just thicken it up a little bit. Again, I'm letting the strap liner brush do a lot of the work for me. So I place my little finger down on my thumb as an anchor, and then I'm applying a little bit of pressure, allowing that brush to fan out a little bit, and then you're going to get a nice smooth line. And then I'm just going over a few times just to distribute that gel polish evenly and make sure I'm happy with how it looks. And then I am going to do this in 2 coats because I want that white to really pop over the nude base. So we've cured the first coat, and then I'm going to load up my strap liner brush and basically do exactly the same again. It is a little bit easier on your second coat because you've already created your lines on the first coat, so you've just got to be really careful when you're coming over the top that you stay directly on top of the French tip you've created underneath. You could of course clean up with your angled nail art brush and some alcohol if you felt it was needed. And then this is the best part, just add in some water decals over the top. So I cut out 2 sunflowers, and what I loved about this sunflower water decal sheet is there are also some little teeny tiny leaves on there as well. So I'm going to pop the water decals in to soak first. Now you do only need to leave these to soak for around 10-20 seconds. I'd say 10, and then the backing paper just pulls off easily. Sometimes if you leave them in the water too long, the paper will fall off in the water, and then you've got to just fish your water decal out. Now, you know, that's not a problem, it just makes it a little bit trickier. I know now a lot of people do apply water decals with the stamper method, but I wanted to do a video predominantly doing it with the traditional water decal method, just in case you don't stamp, so don't have a stamper. And this way is a lot easier at times as well if you're wanting to move your decals around and get them into place a little bit better. And also the water decals from Kiki London are reversible as well, so if you're applying them this way you can flip them over to mirror them if you're doing both hands, which I find brilliant. So again, just coming in with my silicone tool and making sure that I get out any creases, and then using my angled nail art brush and a little bit of acetone to melt away any of the decal that's coming off the edge. This is really important around the cuticle and the free edge of the nail, because if there's a little bit overhanging and you top coat it, you would basically be able to just peel that off and it would start pulling away the top coat. So do make sure to get rid of any of that excess. A lot of the time I will trim it or even file it, but I do find the easiest way is to trim it and then just melt it away with the acetone. You just need to be careful that you don't get any acetone on the part of the image that you want left on the nail. And then lastly, we're going to seal in with the no wipe rubber top coat and then pop that in to cure for 60 seconds. And this now was the simplest, but I think it was my favorite in the set. Moving on to the last nail, again, we've already got our Nude Tan base. And on this nail, last minute, I decided to do a marble, because I was going to say ombre then, because that was originally what I was going to do on this nail. But I had some of those colours left on my palette, so I decided I would do a bit of a different ombre to what I normally do. So I'm coming in, applying my layer of blooming gel. You want to leave this uncured, and then I'm just picking up my colours with my stripe liner brush, and I'm just going to run some wiggly, wavy lines through that wet blooming gel and kind of just create the marble as I'm going. Now, I haven't done a marble this way in a really long time. A lot of the time I'll create my marble on the palette and then kind of scoop it on to the nail, but this was a really fun way of doing it, and it creates a bit of a different effect to the marble, and you can play around with it. As you can see here, I'm just coming in with more of the sunset glow, because as it was blooming out, I thought, no, I wanted a little bit more of that to pop. So you can definitely pick up more of certain colors a little bit more and create make the marble a little bit more unique to you on the nail as you're doing it this way. I literally am just changing between the colors and pulling them through, and then of course the blooming gel is starting to help marble and bloom them together, which gives off a really cool look as well. And I really loved how these colors looked over the Nude Tan base as well. It kind of toned them down a little bit, especially the sunset glow and the honeybee. It just made them look a little bit more muted, which was a really fun effect. So here I'm just giving that a few seconds to bloom on its own, and then just manipulating those colors a little bit where I want them to run to. And then because I did also have some of that 24K flake top coat left on my palette as well, I decided to add some of that in as well, because you gotta have some sparkles in a marble. So I'm just literally running those through here and there, and then we'll pop that in to cure. So let me know in the comments below what you thought of this design, and let me know if you are already moving on to the autumn nails. I'm seeing so much of it on Instagram, and in all honesty, I am here for it. I can't wait to go full on autumn nail mode. It's my favorite time of year for nails. Let me know, but like I said, let me know in the comments below, are you ready for autumn nails, or are you still clinging on to summer ones? And if you work on clients, are they switching to autumn nails just yet? Lastly, we're going to come in and top coat once again with that no wipe rubber top coat, and then we're going to pop this in to cure for 60 seconds. And then I have left a clip and a picture at the end of what all of the nails look like together. I really loved how all these colors work together and run across the set of nails. It was definitely a set I would wear myself, and I really enjoyed doing these as well. So I just want to say thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't already, do give the Kiki London Instagram page a follow, as we might have some exciting new news soon on a new collection. So don't forget to follow that if you haven't already. And if you did enjoy today's video, please do give it a thumbs up and hit that subscription button if you haven't already. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.